I think it's very important, really, really important that the American citizens protect and fight for ICE agents to bring law and order. If somebody's illegal, they got to go back home. And it is sad because we have known that there's always been illegal people in this country. And as they are hard workers, there are also drunkards, there are also criminals, there are also drug dealers. And the thing about it is, like, when you confront these people, they the first response or the first thing that they tell you is, well, I wouldn't sell drugs if there was no demand in the United States. And I think that's the stupidest argument that anybody can do, but it is in a way true. And this is why it's important that we have border security. Now, I'm trying something different today, guys. I'm actually sharing this live link on Facebook and on X. I don't even know if that's how that works, but I'm sharing it in there and see if I can get some more people to come in here and comment, because while I have my own opinions, while I hear, and see some of the things that I talk about, it's always good to have people come in and, bring their input, give their ideas, send a message here and there, and then just kind of dialogue, right? Maybe debate at some point. But we're talking about how Democrats cannot condemn violence. Every single time that I hear a Democrat talking about how violent the right Republican Americans are, it boils my mind, because the leftist Democrats support Antifa, they support the radical Islam, and they support violence, and then yet they call it a peaceful protest. You have the mayor in California telling ICE to get out, to stop it and get out of California, and yet they do nothing to get illegal immigrants out of California. They do nothing to stop the fentanyl on the streets. They do nothing to clean the parks from drug addicts, from drug dealers, from people acting like wackos, like zombies in their public park. And then the only time that they want to clean up their town is when some sort of president or prime minister has to come and visit their city. It is very ridiculous, and it's very upsetting that they keep blaming Republicans for the stupidity of their work. I just don't understand how you can just see riots. You see buildings being set on fire. You see graffiti being put everywhere. You see people throwing bricks at vehicles of ICE agents that are taking illegal immigrants off the streets. For example, the newest one that I saw was, I think, in some sort of farm out in the open, a marijuana facility was found, and there was, I think it's like 9 to 10 minors, 14 and under. And you may have heard me before that the one thing that I'm more concerned of, that nobody gives a crap about, is that there is 300,000 minors missing, illegal migrating minors, which I think that they were not brought here with their parents. I think they were being child trafficked so that they can come in and do some labor into this country. And now we find that everybody that was found, every minor that was found in this farm where they were growing and preparing marijuana for sale, only one of them was not an illegal minor. But how scary is it that you have minor children being trafficked so that they can come in and do the dirty work for these criminals? We have hundreds, if not thousands, of Americans involved with the cartel, selling drugs and just trafficking. Now, I heard an interesting report from the Mexican news, and the president, Claudia, from Mexico, I believe she's averaging 3 arrests per day, and they're all Americans. Now, I know the Mexican government has been known, for planting evidence, for capturing foreigners and then making them look evil and bad. So it's hard to tell if they really are criminal Americans that are being arrested, daily. What I find interesting is now one of these cartel members that she is arresting, it's Mexican. They're all happen to be American. And that should be very concerning to you, especially if you like to go visit Mexico. I have seen a lot of violence towards Americans in Mexico because of all the deportations that have been happening throughout the whole United States of America. But what's even more concerning is that Americans, now I know the majority of Americans voted, including myself, for all these illegal immigrants to be deported from our country. Now, it's one thing you have to understand. I am not a hypocrite, and I am not biased. I know that there is a lot of illegal immigrants in our country that I know personally, but they are in the process. They were at least in the process of getting papers, and they had a permit, and they were going to slowly but surely we're going to get to the level to where they will have a green card, for example. But because of the 21 million illegal immigrants that have come to our country, they just overwhelmingly flooded the border, and has caused for all these other people that have been waiting in line to get through to actually start getting deported. And I think that the people that don't think about those things will continue to make the same mistake over and over. Now, if you stop by and you want to drop a comment, I don't care what kind of comment it is, drop it in the comments, the live comment view, and let me know what's up. I want to know your opinions. If anything, I do these lives to give you a chance to talk back to me. A lot of people respond to shorts and things like that, but I try to do more lives, especially right now that I'm actually on vacation, trying to take a break from the side and make a live so that you can go ahead and give me your opinion. I know I shared the link with Facebook, and I know I got some friends on Facebook on there. I know that there's a lot of leftists on Facebook, and that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. But, I find that a lot of people that are against Donald Trump, they're just against Donald Trump because Democrat politicians don't like him, and whether you like the policies on immigration, Donald Trump didn't invent them. They have been in place for national security reasons. And this is every country. Every country has these. They have them here in Honduras, where I am right now. Honduras doesn't allow illegal immigrants on here. They have kicked out a lot of Venezuelans. Some of them were able to stay. A lot of them have not. They have told to keep going to Mexico, right? And they go over there. And interestingly enough, all the illegal immigrants that were allowed to go through Mexico, how is it that people are so naive? Mexico made billions of dollars on illegal immigration. All these people, most of the people that migrated illegally, they sold their stuff, they, borrowed money, and they were with $10,000, $5,000, $20,000, even whatever they can get to be able to cross the border illegally into the United States. And all the small towns that were across that whole line of migrating caravans, as they call them, they were making a lot of money. And some of them were giving them free food and whatnot, but a lot of businesses were making a lot of money. And I think that some people don't realize how that affects the United States, but it benefits Mexico. Mexico has, like I said, billions of dollars through illegal immigration. Mexico has millions of illegal Mexicans sending money from the United States back to Mexico, which in exchange, they tax their Mexican citizens. and thus the government making billions and billions of dollars off the backs of illegal immigrants. And interestingly enough, only American cartel members are being arrested, but not one Mexican cartel. That's very interesting. If you have just missed everything I just said, you're going to have to rewind the video. But that's how Mexico makes billions of dollars. And that's why the Mexican presidents allow illegal immigration to happen. I will say, if you've come into my channel because of the Facebook link that I just put on my page, I want to tell you, if you are an illegal immigrant, I love you and everything, but you know that if you are illegal in this country, at some point, you will be deported. And who knows, maybe if God's will, you will get papers somehow. But I don't recommend getting deported. I recommend that if you can, self-deport. The option is there. And speaking of self-deportation, there has not been one news outlet here in Honduras that tells illegal immigrants that there is a way for them to deport themselves. And so a lot of people that don't know that ICE is raiding constantly to get people deported from the United States, they don't know that that's actually an option. I know that they have over 1 million illegal immigrants self-deport. And you know what's going to happen? These people still have the chance to apply to come to the United States. And as long as they can prove that they will be independent once they're here, they will be able to stay and get papers. Now, you don't have to take my word for it, but that's how it works. A lot of people think that illegal immigrants cannot get benefits in America. Well, they are. Somehow they are. And one of the ways that I can tell you easily that they get into the government programs, it's they have a child that they birth here. And because the Constitution has been misinterpreted for decades, I think a lot of illegal immigrants have had this notion that they can just come here and make anchor babies. They can just come here pregnant, have a baby, and all of a sudden, boom, now you can stay in the United States. And that's not how I interpret it. Now, I know from over 3 decades ago, I would hear of people that would come to the United States illegally, and you hear them talking on the street before they go illegally to the United States. You know, if we go over there and we can have a baby, then, you know, then eventually by the time they turn 18, you know, we can get papers and we're not going to be deported because our son or daughter will be a United States citizen. And that's that. One of the things that makes me mad about businesses, a lot of lawyers that fight for illegal immigrants, is that they promise them that they are going to do everything to keep them in the country. But there's nothing they can do to keep them in the country, at least not permanently. And they don't need the help to fill out forms. Everybody can go to the website for the immigration website and fill out paperwork so that they can get a permit to stay here, so they can apply for a green card, so they can apply for a citizenship. You know, if you are a traveler, an immigrant that travels, let's say, for example, here, people that go from Honduras to the United States, right? They go over there, they got a visa for 10 years, they go and check in, they go on vacation for a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever amount of time, up to 6 months, I believe. And you keep traveling back and forth. You have the ability to go onto the government website, fill out some paperwork, and apply for a green card. There is some qualifications that you must meet, but you can do that legally, and it can take 2, maybe 5 years, but it can be done. In the meantime, you don't have to be scared that at some point somebody's going to come in and deport you. As simple as that. I know I have a lot of people from school, from high school, junior high, that are friends with me on Facebook. I don't know why, because they don't like what I say. But I have always been very friendly to all the people that I have met in my life. And whether my opinion differs from theirs, I have no animosity against them, and I wish them well. Just like I won't put, or force myself or beliefs on them, I expect the same respect back. And for the most part, the ones that are friends on Facebook, they do that. So I appreciate that. You don't have to accept every comment. You don't have to accept every opinion, but common respect is a good thing, right? So let me hit over here. People hate Trump because Democrats, well, we know by now, if you are not, right, if the shoe fits, wear it. If it doesn't, don't. But Democrats hate Trump because they are communists. And a lot of the leftists want socialism. Getting free stuff is, for me, is for lazy people. And they are a cancer to our country. Now, what do I mean by free stuff? And I'm sure by now you know what I mean by free stuff. I don't mean like if somebody gives you a gift, right? Or money, right, for free. They give it to you out of their own kindness of their heart. That is good. That's not a problem with that. But somebody that depends on people gifting them money, 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 money every day, like beggars on the street, those are a cancer to society, and they must be eradicated. Now, obviously, I don't mean killed, but they need to be changed, reformed somehow. They need to understand that what they're doing on the street is not right. It's not good. So, with that being said, most Democrats hate Donald Trump, and I really don't know why. If you actually sit down and listen to him, you will actually like to hear him. He is the grandpa that I wish I had to tell me stories. That man is a real patriot, and whether he's a little, different to a lot of people, that's okay. I think that we all are entitled to our opinion, but nobody's perfect. Just remember that. Democrats will never support you unless you are against Donald Trump. And that's a fact. If you don't hate Donald Trump, you are a bigot or a racist, and I forget what other names they call me. But this is true. Now, I actually feel sorry for states like Florida, because Florida has been fighting to have no taxes on property. And here in Washington State, or within Washington State where I live, Democrats cannot get enough of taxing people. They just love putting taxes on people. And I don't understand why Washingtonians are okay with property taxes. The property taxes are so high, so expensive. I mean, unless you're making a lot of money, it makes no sense to support it. And that's just my view. That's one of the main reasons why I don't want to own a house in Washington State. I think, of course, if I owned a house in Washington State, I will feel a lot happier. I will feel like I have some ownership of something, and I will feel like I'm a real Washingtonian. But with Democrats in office, and it's just, I hate just saying Democrats because it sounds like I'm a Republican, but I'm not a Republican. I was raised to be a patriot and be faithful to the land that I grew, that provides for me and my family. I was raised to love the people in the land where I want to be and respect other people and their beliefs. Now, I would not allow them to cram those beliefs on me, nor would I cram my beliefs on them. But the fact is, we need to learn to get along. You guys remember the old Rodney King? Can we all just get along after he got a beat down of his life, which was unfair? It shouldn't have happened, but he did. And you man, in high school, I remember from freshman year on, we talk about Martin Luther King and this and that, and it's funny that whenever we mention Martin Luther King and what he fought for, he didn't fight for blacks to become supremacists. He didn't fight for whites to be degraded or to be called racist. His main focus was so that we can all work together, regardless of the color of our skin, right? We are to be judged by the character or by how we, carry ourselves on, and not by the color of the skin. I know there's a better way to say that, but everything boom, is turning in Spanish in my head. So uh, I find it interesting that the moment that you agree with Martin Luther King and you start saying all this stuff, all of a sudden they start telling you, oh, well, he had a problem with women and he was unfaithful. I don't give a crap what he did on his personal life. The fact is that he was trying to unite people and was trying to end racism, because not everybody has it, but a lot of people still have that prejudice towards white people or towards black people. One of the things that I love about Honduras is I don't see that here. I see blacks, mixed, Asians, all kinds of different ethnicities in this country. They're all Honduran. There is a minority of people that is starting to play the racist card because they seem to get more help when they do that. But that's shameful. That's not something to be proud of. Now, why do I say that I feel sorry for Florida? I feel sorry for Florida because there is such a good state. They fight for the people, that all other people that want the same things are migrating to those states. And what's happening? The states that that lose all the good people, they will never be able to recover from the atrocities that Democrats are creating in the blue states. I believe Rashid is from Washington State. What a damn shame. I can't believe she's in my state. I didn't even notice this until I started getting into politics. But like many of you that don't like to get into politics, you wouldn't notice that either. But I noticed that she's from Washington because she has the Washington flag behind her when she makes some speeches. And I didn't realize that before. But that lady is racist. She cares nothing about the United States. She cares only about her people from the country where she comes from, period. Let's see here. I actually make some notes. I actually don't have many people getting on, just to stop by and be like, oh, shoot, I got the wrong feed. Like somebody told me, oh, I came to this channel just long enough so that I can block it. Whatever. If you want to stay blind to the truth, by all means, you can go ahead and do whatever the hell you want. But if you hate this country so much, if you are burning the American flag, if you don't respect the people in the United States, what the hell are you doing in the United States? I just don't understand. What are you trying to accomplish? Now, if you're trying to accomplish the obvious, that you want to invade the United States, if you want to destroy the United States from within, I can see that. Now, we're not stupid. When we ask, why are you here? We know why you're here. We just don't want to have you here hating our country. But we know why you're here. You're here to destroy it. You're here to pee and poop on the American people. I get it. We're not stupid. But we ask that question just to see if we get a reaction from people. People come to this country and they spit. Some get in trouble, but just like they have been throwing bricks at ICE, people come over here and they act tough because the United States of America allows them to do it. But whether it be in another country, they will get the beatdown of their lives. And if you don't get to be in this chat while I'm live, I apologize. I cannot wait for everybody. Somebody's going to be picking me up here in a little bit. So I decided to do a live in case somebody wanted to put a question, a comment, or something. I don't think anybody's coming in today, to be honest. I think the only person on there is me, since I'm monitoring the video and the audio, which surprisingly, it's actually doing not bad. ICE performs a very important role in our country for national security. And what do they get for their sacrifice? They get to be assaulted by illegal immigrants. And the worst part is that they get assaulted by Americans. Now I know that a lot of people are having this issue with you know illegal citizens of illegal parents being denaturalized. They're having a problem with that. But what do you see? As I said in my other lives and other videos, it's the children of those illegal parents will always be loyal to their parents' country and not to the United States of America. And I think that is very dangerous for the freedom of the American people. And if you are an immigrant or an illegal immigrant in this country, you are destroying the very country that you want to be in to enjoy the benefits that Americans have. Now, you wouldn't want me to go into your house and eat all of your food, right? That food was meant for your children and for your family. You don't want me to go in there and use all your medicine supplies. Those are meant for you and your children and those people that you invite into your home. Uh, Assault on ICE should not be tolerated. It should be zero tolerance. And those people throwing bricks at the ICE agents' vehicles, of course, a lot of them get put in jail. But I think, and I'm sure this is what Democrats want, I think they need to start getting out of the car and they need to start shooting people. If you throw a brick at a vehicle that's moving, that's assault with a deadly weapon. And they're not just like, oh, boom, a little toss. Man, they're tossing that 100% strength, and that can kill people. So if you don't like me saying they should get out and start shooting, that's exactly what they should do, in my opinion. Of course, that's what Democrats want, and maybe that's why they don't. But I just don't understand. And then the other thing that Democrats also do is they like to lie to you about millions of people are going to die if they get kicked off of Medicaid. I'm like, how the hell is millions of people going to die? Are you nuts? Are you serious? You know what? If you're able to work, it's encouraging people to go to work, very minimal hours. You're supposed to report, okay, hey, listen, I was working here, boom, I need some medical assistance. I was working here, but I only make this many hours. Do I qualify for food stamps? Okay, yeah, you qualify for food stamps. Keep working. Don't be lazy. How is it possible that I see people on welfare at home all the time? They somehow got money to buy weed and liquor and drugs, but they don't work. How the hell do they have money? Why should they be on Medicaid? Why should they be on food stamps? Why should they get any of the benefits at all when all they do is do drugs, drink, and be lazy at home? I see a lot of single women out there at the bar, right? Well, I don't go to the bars anymore, but that's what I've seen them. And I hear stories from friends that go to the bars and say, how some of them brag about, they don't work, they get child support, they get welfare, they get medical. They don't have to do anything. And the American people, the taxpayers, are actually paying for them to go out there and get drunk. And they don't have to be responsible. I think nobody is dying and nobody's going to die. And if we are enabling people to be dependent on the government, you are making the big mistake in this country. You are destroying this country. People should be allowed to have dreams and to work hard. We need to partake on how to help this country continue go on. The last argument that I have heard from illegal immigration is like, and here's a quote. This is from the website. If immigrants do jobs that Americans won't do, there should be occupations in which the workers are overwhelmingly foreign-born. However, among hundreds of occupations identified by the Census Bureau, natives outnumber immigrants in all but a handful, and in none of them do illegal immigrants constitute a majority. That means that illegal immigrants doing farm work is bullshit. That is not true. That is fake. And what happens is that there's a lot of legal immigrants with visas to work on those fields, and they are being taken off legal migrants that can work, they're being taken off so they can have illegal immigrants do their work and get paid less. They don't have to pay benefits to them at all. So there are companies that are so, I don't want to say they're racist, but they take advantage of illegal people, and this is why they fight for them, because this is how they make their money. Does that remind you when we fought for free slavery, right? The southern states, the people that own all the slaves to work in on the plantations, they did not want those slaves to be free. They did not want the American people to pay the right wages to the American people. And I think that a lot of times that is the problem that we have in this country. And this is why they fight for illegal immigration. Now, with that being said, if you happen to come by, I understand if you can watch, no problem. I will make this live to be available so that you guys can watch it. But I was really looking forward to actually getting some questions. I think the chats are more interesting when I have people asking me questions or even debating me on some stuff. But all the points that I have made, we'll probably talk about it again another time. But for now, hey guys, if you guys been watching, thank you so much for watching, for stopping by. And hopefully later on you will drop a line.